Fragments of Silicon, counting down to the end of this year.
Welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me, as always, is the regular crew. So without any sort of delay, here is the news. Twilight, why don't you start things off?
Well, we've had our first sleet and snow this week, and thankfully, so far, it hasn't really affected the roads any, though the county schools are being kind of cowards right now. Though I don't kind of blame them in a way. Also had my brakes replaced, so I'm all set for the winter season.
Yeah, getting brakes replaced is generally a good idea.
Yeah, I was really needing to have it done. Missing out. Besides some much more personal business that we've been taking care of, been playing some more of Kingdom Hearts 2 in preparation for 3, and that's about it.
Okay. Alex?
Not a whole lot going on here. I tried to get Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom because it came out today, and I preferred the physical edition of things, but the two stores I checked didn't have... They each had like one copy or less and couldn't find it. But luckily, one of them was able to call another location and have them hold it for me. So, that was good.
Yeah, it's like, we actually talked to FDG not too long ago about Monster Boy. We were intending on reviewing the PlayStation 4 version, but the code never came through. I know Sony was being really wiggy about North American codes, according to FDG. Like, they weren't going to send it out until the day before release, just to show you how much they didn't have their shit together on this. And it's not a surprise that the code hasn't come in. It might come in, it might not. And I'm going to put the blame on Sony right now, given what I've been told. As it is, if we do review this game, it's going to be the PC version, because console codes in general are a lot more ornery than getting Steam codes.
Because a lot of the console holders make you pay for them.
Right.
The company that's giving them out pay for them, I mean.
Yes, a PR firm or the publisher, whatever, that costs money. That, we'll get into this in the topic of discussion, because it's actually kind of relevant to what we're going to be talking about tonight. But I'm like, Steam codes you can print out for free. Now, it was one of the secrets to Steam's success. So anyway,
anyway, aside from that, I'm also looking forward to Smash coming out this Friday. And I have a couple of other games to play for the show, so this is a busy week, although I'm also trying to get my holiday shopping done, so that's extra stuff. But at least I'm not leaving it for like the day before Christmas this year.
That sounds like that happened before.
It has.
Let me guess, it happened last year.
Not last year, it was a couple years ago, but still slightly scarred.
Blood oath never again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, Finney, you're up.
I think I'm done with my Christmas shopping. I mean, there might be like one or two small things if I really want to, but aside from that, most of the major stuff is taken care of. And they already know what I'm getting from the family. They're going to be I'm either getting a $100 GameStop gift card or $150, and I'm gonna use that mostly to pre-order Kingdom Hearts 3, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm pretty much gonna be deciding what I want to get with the rest of it. So that's gonna be a fun thing I have to figure out, and glad I have like 20 days to do it. Let's see. As far as gaming news, not a whole lot's been going on. I'm still debating if I want to beat Green Drop Distance again, since I have everything else beaten that I care about in Kingdom Hearts. Or if I just want to say screw it and just kind of wait for 3 and play something else. Yeah. Oh, the joys of having a little bit of time on your hands, right?
And no kid, like, that kind of happened a few days ago, and I'm like, wait, what do I do now? Well, it's like the questions have been answered. Anyway, let's see. My go, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, a bit of my laptop broke off a few days ago. Like, if you've ever owned a laptop, you know how precarious hinge damage can be.
Yeah.
So, big plastic.
The worst part about it isn't that it like causes damage so much as that the damage, because it's on an area that gets moved, can spread.
Right. So,
and also depending on the hinge construction, if that cracks a little bit, your hinge is ruined.
Yeah. It's like, so what happened is like, I think the monitor screen was pushing up against this particular part of the hinge, of the plastic hinge protection area, because what it did was, it knocked out a chunk, and now a part of the metal hinge was exposed. So what I did is I went down to Walmart and I got, I want to say super glue, but it's more like a resin.
Was like E6000 or something like that.
I'd have to go into the other room to see what the brand was. I mean, the point of order is, it worked. Like, it looks fucking awful. Like, it looks like there's an insect mold on the thing, but it works. It's holding it in place. You're
not the kind of person who'd like aim to resell that anyway, right?
I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking resell a laptop. I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah, I know. Like, I would have given you shit for that because, that's a good way to get everything stolen.
It's like I still have my old laptop in my in a drawer because, it's like, hell, I have an old desktop in my closet space because I know about computers. I know not to fucking resell the thing that has copious amounts of personal data on it.
Yeah, like, there's a right way to do that, but it takes a while, and it's just fucking put it in a drawer.
Yeah, it's like, hell, the point of order is, I'm not planning on reselling this laptop. And it's like, it's also, I don't take it outside, if ever, so I'm like, super glue cost me $6 versus taking it into the computer repair shop, which I'm not sure would be able to fix this kind of thing. Like,
yeah, like, unless it was a popular brand or whatever, I doubt they'd be able to do anything except just maybe super glue it and charge you $70 for it.
Yeah,
either super glue it or somehow replace the entire case, which would be way too expensive.
Yeah, or you melt down the plastic to make sure, and fit it back in, which is very precise and expensive sounding. I'm not sure that I'm not sure the computer shop could be able to do that. So, like I said, it looks hideous, but I don't have to buy a new laptop, which is the important part, because laptops cost money. Money. It's like I do not have $500 or so dollars lying around right now. So,
God, I wish we all wish we had $500 lying around.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. It's like, and what money I do have lying around is for emergencies, and getting a laptop replaced because of some cosmetic damage, is not a priority.
Yeah.
So, it's like it don't look like much, but I can live with it. So, let's see. Moving on to gaming news. It's been another one of those. All of the codes came in.
Almost like this is when all the games get released.
Well, yeah, it's like, and it's also because, I had downtime because until the other day, like the sole game I had to focus on, Dead Dungeon, that's a pretty slim platformer. We'll talk more about it in the review. But like our Override Mech City Brawl codes finally came in the other day. It's like, we were going to, review
for
it
the full version.
Yeah, it's like we covered the beta. You can still watch that video, but we'll be covering things we didn't cover in the beta on Friday, and then we'll be reviewing the game on Sunday. And then I got a code for a battle royale game that we'll be playing on New Year's.
Oh boy, it's not Fortnite, is it?
No. No, it's called Zeus's Battlegrounds. I got a cosmetic code for that, and I'm like, this seems like the kind of game to do on a drunken New Year's Day kind of thing. It's not like I can properly review it anyway. It's in early access. So I'm like, okay, we'll give you coverage. You may not get what you expected, but you'll get your coverage.
Don't you love that?
Yes, it takes care of some stuff. So, yeah. I mean, like, we've got games pushed into the middle of next year right now.
Jesus.
Like I said, all of the codes came in. Like, everything should be on the schedule right now. I did an update of that, like, a few days ago. So, and on that note, I think that's it for news for this week. Merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast, and joining us this week are Jake Trefethen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Yeah. And Quinn Finney of Little Sumn Games.
Hey guys.
Hey. How you doing?
Pretty good. So you guys got it up there on the window cap?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, how we like to start things is by asking the people behind the game, behind the studio, and whatnot, what got you interested in video games in the first place, both on a personal and a professional level?
Minecraft.
Honestly, it was really Minecraft. We played that a lot coming out of middle school, I guess, and going into high school. And really quickly into our foray of playing, we decided to start modding it and making servers and making Bucket plugins, and got really into programming games that way.
We were behind a big Minecraft mod, was Jurassic Craft. And that's kind of one of the first things we did. Is like you could go back in time to do dinosaurs in Minecraft. And then after that, kind of, just started making our own games in Java. From there, got into Unity, working on Avalon a lot with Spatial OS and all that. And then we wanted to make something kind of more casual and Steam ready. So we kind of pulled this idea out of our hat and
Our cowboy hat.
Yeah, our cowboy. Like we like cowboys, like Red Dead.
And we like zombies.
I'm like, not until they come to PC. Let me know when Red Dead Redemption 2 PC happens, then we'll talk.
Yeah, it should be like, what is it, like a year from now?
Fall?
Possibly, but the first Red Dead Redemption never hit the PC.
Yeah, I think they will for the online.
Now this game is just too good.
Like, well,
Yeah, we kind of made this game, originally we were coming into it thinking it was going to be more of like a Switch party game, like 1 to 4 players local. And after making a local co-op game and realizing we couldn't launch directly on Switch basically because Nintendo is mean, we we decided to make it online, and here we are.
Yeah, actually, originally this game had nothing to do with Chili Peppers or Mexico or anything like that. It
And
was
then
just-
we got here, and it's happened.
we actually just had kind of like these red capsules that were like the enemies as a placeholder asset. And when we added the blood, it just looked so much like a chili pepper getting blown up and turning into salsa. And we didn't even notice it. Like, people that were playing it were just like, "Oh, I love the chili peppers you guys have." And I was like, "What chili peppers?"
Sure, yeah, we'll go with that.
So then we threw on some cowboy hats and
Bada bing, bada boom.
Like,
I see you've got your fair share of habaneros here.
anyway, just for reference sake, the rest of the team is playing the game. I am not, because, well, I need to have like the information in front of me.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. So I gotta say, I think you're the first people we've had on the program who graduated via Minecraft on the program, which is actually kind of a surprise. You know,
yeah, no, we were definitely into Minecraft.
I was gonna say that's fairly recent.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean,
We started playing Minecraft right when it went into.
Like, it was an in-depth.
It was an in-dev, yeah. It was right when the Halloween update came out. That was kind of right when we started modding it.
Yeah. Still, it's like,
Yeah, it's notably recent if you started with something newer than the SNES.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's more the people
Definitely.
we've got from the modding scene that were from first-person shooters.
We've had people from Quake, from Source.
Yeah. And so on and so forth. It's like, I'm just wondering when we're going to have, well, it's like if Fortnite was able to be modded. I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out with Fortnite.
I mean, I guess that's not the first game we played per se. It's more of the game first game that I sat through class and drew doodles of what I was going to do of every day, day in and day out.
No, this is more a realization of how long Minecraft has been around, actually.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, how long
Minecraft-
has it been now?
Yeah, it's like Minecraft is, I think, older. Is fairly older than a lot of people give it credit for, because, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2009. So
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's like, but anyway, getting back on track here. Let me see. With Heatwave, now it's currently in alpha, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's alpha demo stage. So this is a free release on itch that we did.
We really wanted
Mainly
to get
to
some
get-
feedback.
Mainly to get feedback, to get, some bug reporting done, and just kind of gauge what players wanted more of, what they didn't like, what worked, what didn't, and just kind of get the idea out there, get people talking about it, stuff like this, and just kind of starting the hype of it all. And the overall plan is to end up on Steam and then go to Switch as well.
Switch and probably PS4 and Xbox as well too.
Well, I suppose that beckons the question: did you have a problem with getting onto Steam or something?
No.
No, we had this working, and we figured we wanted to get it out there, and itch was the easiest platform to do.
Okay.
We're doing Steam for our next release, and basically we kind of held off until we did a bunch of integrations like Photon and PlayFab to make it kind of a more smooth transition.
Yeah, we didn't want to release with a bunch of bugs onto Steam, so we do generally like a soft launch on itch just to get kind of a core community and bigger bugs out of the way first.
And how long has it been on itch.io?
A week as of yesterday.
Okay. I was expecting like a month or something, but okay.
No.
No, yeah, it's been out for a week. We've been working on it for about a month and a half.
Yeah, no, it was almost a game jam basically. We work on Avalon. We worked on it a lot. After doing a few like rounds with publishers and stuff like that, we kind of took a break and decided to. So yeah, since
And it's kind of turning out pretty fun, so we decided to go full game, and we're coming out with a Steam release with new maps and a bunch of new guns and a bunch of bug releases and stuff like that.
Now, when it comes to Steam, is it going to be early access there as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're trying to maximize the amount of launches we're getting.
Our biggest fear is to have a poor Steam. I just don't want to get a bunch of reviews saying, "Hey, it doesn't work. Why did I pay for this?"
Yeah, with multiplayer
We're trying
games,
to avoid 76ing it, you know.
Yeah, we don't want to 76 it.
Oh my God, it's a turn ready.
Our beta is within 1 week before the full release.
Like, no, you definitely don't want to be Fallout 76.
Yeah. I was going to say No Man's Sky.
Oh, right, it's 86 that was already a thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
86 is already a thing, but 76, and we're trying to bring that term into.
No, I don't. I think you've got something there.
I already, it's a done deal. It's going to be Bethesdaing pretty soon here.
Term started right here, guys. Remember that?
Because
Wink,
I'm
wink,
so
nudge, nudge.
It's
yes.
I
Anyway,
7.
I'll turn it over to the guys here to see if they have any feedback questions they want to ask.
We're trying to get it started here.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting on Twilight.
Then
I should already be there.
Sometimes there's a bug where
Just
where lobbies don't work after a couple of game sessions. So just restart the clients and it'll work.
All right.
Well, that's early access for you.
Yep.
well, it's like pre-early access. It's like if you were Minecraft, this is like
This is free early access for you.
yeah. This is like when he put it on TIG Source, and it was like,
Yeah, the point of order is, this is the kind of thing that happens at this stage of game development.
Yeah.
So it's not unexpected.
And
I mean, unless you're Fallout 76, in which case, it
or
happens
Todd
on
Howard,
launch.
we're just trying to avoid a bunch of sweet little lies.
Anyway,
Anyway, it looks. But it is overall pretty polished for like that early stage.
Exactly.
It's more the networking stuff that
we this launch. What you're playing now is over Unet with Unity, and as you may or may not know, it's being deprecated as of 2021.
Mm.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh, to invite people, you just can share this code here.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, we were trying to do that, but we might have taken too long.
Now start should work.
I suppose that for the Steam version, is that going to use Steamworks?
Steamworks. I mean, so yeah, the account system will be through Steam when
What do
it's
you
on.
mean Steamworks? I'm sorry. I know what that is, but it's slipping my mind.
Yeah, it's like you don't hear Steamworks too often, but that's like the multiplayer stuff that Steam has.
No, we're going to be using Photon for our actual servers
Mhm.
and hosting and networking system. But
Okay.
Steam will be our primary authentication system.
Yeah, there we go.
And be how you join friends and stuff like that.
And will the Steam version cost money?
We are not 100% positive on the initial release costing money. We're planning on having purchasable items in game, so we're kind of wavering there. If it does initially cost money when we release it, it's going to be something like $5.
Okay. Makes sense.
There he is.
As we said before, we're just really trying to we're trying to make the player base happy and make sure everyone's happy with what they're getting for the price.
And you said you're developing cosmetic items for this game?
Not necessarily cosmetic. So it's a system a lot like Perks in Zombies. So right now, the way the map works is it's basically you guys against 3 different types of peppers, and you get guns. You get better guns as you go, and you just fight to the last, right? But eventually,
when your guy is down, you can hold E over him to get him up. By the way.
Yeah, I didn't know I had to hold E.
My screen still has the Paso Diablo thing on it.
Ah. Oh no, he
Is
cracked.
it gone now or?
no, that's
Nope, still there.
Damn it.
Yeah. So anyway, with the purchasable items, like the way it's gonna work is you slowly.
I can play, but it's hard.
What?
I can play even though it has the Paso Diablo thing on it, but it's very difficult because I can't actually see myself.
Yeah, it's another one of those known bugs.
Yeah, we're not really planning on doing bug fix releases on itch because we're just kind of focusing on the Steam stuff right now.
Right.
Yeah, my code on my computer right now is pretty much ripped to shreds trying to put Photon in.
But anyway, with the purchasable items, the way it's going to work is there's going to be an in-game way to like get perks as you get points, and so like you'll be able to pick up what we're calling like capsaicin 238, which is like this elixir that has like created these mutant peppers. And you collect it, and then in game you can use it to go to machines and roll the dice to get different perks, like getting extra stars, getting cool airdrops, stuff like that. And some of these perks, you're equipping them before you play. So
when you level up, you're going to get a chance to get some of the perks, and you can also buy the perks, basically.
Yeah.
But everyone gets to the same perks. So basically, if you don't want to waste your time leveling up, you can buy a perk.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like cards in Clash Royale or something like that.
I can't actually move, but I can shoot.
I'm very sorry for the Paso Diablo blood.
Oh no, it's not your well, I mean, it is your fault, literally, because you made the game, but I don't blame other people for my computer being stupid usually. And like you said, it's in like alpha, so
Yeah, if you want to try hosting the next one, we can see if that helps.
Hang on,
maybe.
As long as you guys just restart the clients between games, you should have better success.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on.
Right now, there's 3 different kinds of chili peppers.
You got Fresno's.
Fresno Red, your classic chili pepper. They're just like the zombie AI, basically. You can see them here on the screen. And then
we got a habanero, which is the orange bomb zombie. Oh, somebody got the purple rocket launcher.
Hang on a bit. If you want to download this game, I put a link in the chat. But for those who are just listening, it'll be at Little Sumn Games, LILSUMN.itch.io/heatwave. And how much longer will this game be available on itch?
On itch, we're thinking over the holiday season, maybe a little into next year, and then early next year, January, February. I think we're gonna end up finishing up the early access stuff and getting it on there.
Okay.
And that release will be complete with, so you're gonna have account progression, so stuff like unlocking these perks, leveling up, achievement kind of things. It'll have some new enemies.
The maps will be completely replaced with cool new maps.
Yeah, the maps will be actually level designed, and it'll have those kind of cool puzzles, interactions with them, like the machines and turning on the power switches, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, the biggest change to the gameplay for you guys is going to really be that you can hold 2 guns, and airdrops come every once in a while to kind of replenish what you're using.
So. I suppose another question is, will the Steam version have controller support?
Yes, right now it actually has Joy-Con and DualShock controller support. The Steam version will also have Xbox support, and we're going to probably put controller mapping in as well.
Neat.
Originally, we designed this as an itch game, so it's kind of designed for the controls to be workable from a single Joy-Con. And so operating under that kind of limited control scheme is how we kind of landed on this more casual version of the zombies with the kind of top-down feel and all that. It's just meant to be, something fun where you guys can just blast some funny characters on screen to your heart's desire with a bunch of random weapons. Just kind of have fun.
Right.
Nothing too serious.
Right. And you said that you hope to have console versions. Are you lined up to actually publish on consoles currently, or is that something that'll be worked on down the line?
It's something we were planning originally to send this at least to Nintendo right now, but we decided to hold off until our Steam release. When we launch on Steam, we'll probably send it over to Nintendo and see if they approve us.
Okay.
If that goes through, then we'll start adding, all the necessary authentication and stuff for Nintendo and launch as soon as possible. Then after that, it's actually just it's just a price tag to get onto PlayStation nowadays.
Right.
And I don't know about Xbox for sure, but it'll come shortly after PlayStation.
Xbox, I think they're the most stringent of the console makers. Like, this last I heard, granted, we don't get a lot of Xbox people on the program.
I've heard that they just started an indie program, so I don't know if we would be in the same marketplace as normal, but we might be able to get into that.
I mean, like, they've had an indie program for a while, ID Xbox, but I'm not sure if they've changed things. So
I remember I had a friend that they like discontinued it a little bit, and they got kicked off. Their game got taken down and all that. So yeah, I don't know. Our main one, we really want to go with Switch. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been reading the news and all that stuff with the Switch, but a lot of people are saying, it might be kind of the new indie scene, and we kind of felt that way originally. We wanted to make a game for Switch. I don't know, it's trendy.
It's definitely targeted to Switch, and we have a pretty clear number of steps to get onto PlayStation as well. So I see those two happening fairly soon, as long as Nintendo approves us.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm definitely pro Nintendo, but yeah, the Switch is really convenient for small games because you can take it places.
Exactly, and it's not, especially for small games, it doesn't feel like there's any sort of limitation that maybe bigger games get.
Yeah, it opens up the possibility of like kind of a different size game. I feel like it's almost like the iPad of consoles. It's just somewhere in between.
It's
Bad
too
North
big. Feels so great on that console, but I would feel kind of gypped if I bought it for my PS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just somewhere in between. It's too big for mobile, too small for real console, and then I guess PC also kind of works for that, but there's a big range of PC games out there.
Not to mention the Switch is, I don't know how many titles they have now, but it's much less of a flooded market. I feel like we could at least get our little spotlight for a bit there.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've passed 1,000, so.
And 1,000 is such a overcomable number when you're looking at Steam's million or whatever.
Point taken. I'm like, no, we know generally how much of a hotbed the Switch is right now. We've had other developers talk about it. It's more of a question of how long that lasts.
Exactly.
Oh, this is weird. So it's WASD, but it's the not strafing way. I mean, you do strafe with left and right, but the W goes the direction you're facing.
Oh wait, it switched?
No. I think he's just saying that. Yeah, we've been.
No, he's facing his mouse now. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've been.
I've always been facing my mouse. I couldn't tell which way I was going when I couldn't see the screen before on account of the title never went away. But now I can tell why I wasn't going the direction I thought I was going, and it's because I was always moving towards my cursor. Sorry, we're interspersing some feedback with the interview.
No, it's totally cool. The biggest thing we've gotten in terms of feedback is the control system. We actually launched originally where W would move you forward only in respect to the cursor. So like a lot of people got confused, but it kind of lets you to move more accurately once you get used to it. And we switched it to this where W always goes the same direction, but you're facing the mouse. And we're getting slightly better feedback, but people still seem to get confused by it, even though I don't know what else we could do to make.
No, W. I'm just holding W and I'm going in circles as I move my mouse in circles.
Oh.
That's actually the old control system. Is everyone getting that?
I'm not. I can move freely with WASD and shoot.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I downloaded the wrong version somehow.
The server should not really allow you to connect if you have the old version. Yeah, who knows?
Well, yeah, whatever. I mean, that's the old control system. If you're curious,
that update we did a first day patch, and all we did was basically change that control system
because people really were the first 6 people that played were like, how the hell does this work?
Yeah, it's extremely awkward.
Oh no.
We got so used to playing it with that control scheme in development that we loved it, and it's clearly confusing to new players.
Yeah, I mean that is to some extent a logical control scheme.
The biggest thing is on the other map. There's there's like a staircase up that's slightly at an angle, and so the only real way to get up it is if you can go in a very specific direction.
Yeah, like we said, we originally did this for Joy-Cons. There was the earliest point of this development, we didn't even test with the keyboard. There wasn't even keyboard controls at all. And it was just a straight.
And so you
switch.
have the joystick and you can go in any direction you want.
Yeah,
I'll see how that Xbox controller works if it works. This is even worse. Yeah.
There's DualShock.
The Xbox One is notoriously not good because we didn't even map to it, so it's probably really screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? It might have been just equating the.
There's a setting in settings to switch it to DualShock or Joy-Con. It's you have to switch to that, and then maybe Xbox would be okay.
Well, just because I always have my Xbox 360 controller plugged in, it might be mapping to that, and just interpreting my inputs as.
Yeah, that's what it's doing.
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue we run into, which is really one of the reasons we want to go Switch really bad. And at the same time, we're trying to figure out if there's what do you guys who are using the normal WASD, do you have any issues with it?
No.
Not me.
Yeah, I stopped using my Xbox. I'm back to trying to use keyboard, but
the actual mappings, if you're using a DualShock or Joy-Con, it feels pretty nice. I think it still needs a little bit of juice here and there, but.
I'm guessing yellow is you, Golix.
No, I'm.
No, that's me. What the heck? I'm trapped.
I think I freed you. We'll find out.
Anyway, getting back on track here, I want to talk a bit about Avalon. You've mentioned it a couple of times, but this is the big game. Quite literally, as it's billed as a massive social city builder.
Yep.
So I've always had this kind of dream of building a game that kind of took the open world ideology of Minecraft, not necessarily like the blocks and the voxel part, but takes the idea of exploring this big world and adds in the ability to kind of make a city and make that city have actual value to players and make it so you can trade and make economies and countries and wars like that.
We did kind of like online persistent
Civ,
but not as zoomed out, right? Like it's literally on the block by block.
Have you ever played Kingdoms and Castles?
No, but I have played SimCity.
Yes, so
it's like the idea of a medieval version of SimCity, but you have all the other cities nearby, and they're made by other players, and
you can trade
and go to war with them. And we've always kind of had this idea of a game. We tried to originally do it as a mod for Minecraft. We tried then to make a Pokemon-style Java game. We then moved to a Unity UNet crazy idea for an MMO. And then now we finally have leveled on Spatial. And Spatial's finally made it possible. And right now we're kind of in, I don't know what stage we're in, alpha with it?
Yeah, we're also in alpha there. I mean, what's going on there is there's some new updates to Spatial coming out that they're developing, which we've been kind of waiting on. We also did some publisher rounds that didn't come to anything really, or they're basically on hold until some new programs open up. It's a kind of game that needs a decent amount of
players,
money, players.
It basically needs time and a huge player base before anybody will believe that such an alien concept can be, invested in and betted on.
Well, I suppose the question along those lines is if you considered a crowdfunding campaign for Avalon.
Yeah, we have considered it. I mean, we've been kind of advised against it sometimes.
The biggest real issue there is looking at the current market of crowdfunding for games. There's a pretty good chance you can get funded if you have like an ask of $100,000, but if you go quite a bit over that, which is what we would really need to guarantee all of those funders the game that they're asking for, that's not very successful generally. So we don't really think it's worth it to try on Kickstarter yet, because we're going to need a lot more money than Kickstarters usually get for games nowadays.
Yeah, I mean the bigger games can get some real money, some over $1 million and stuff on Kickstarter, but you're talking about teams with pretty big pedigrees and pretty large teams and stuff. And so
we lack a major aspect of a team, which is having like a marketing art person. Like Jake does literally all of the art and marketing we have right now, as well as being a major developer. And it's too much to think of building an entire Kickstarter campaign and taking all that time away from development when we're pretty sure we're asking for too much for our small team size.
Right. Yeah, Kickstarters are a tricky business, especially since it's not necessarily about actually making the game these days.
No, it's much more about having an awesome video, which, like he said, we don't have an artist, right? So while we see, there's been some other games on Spatial that have done funding rounds and stuff, and
done fairly well, but they have, first and foremost in their team, modelers and animators and videographers that can make amazing marketing materials that can help sell the game. Not to mention, like having a scoped game that's smaller to get out to players. The current version would take us 9 months or a year of full time to get it out to a point where we can sell it.
Like it would almost take that long for us to say like, okay, this is beta. Like that's how big this is.
And we've been saying we can sell beta. That's the whole idea.
Right. It's also not for nothing, but this is like your first or second project, versus much more seasoned. Yeah. It's like there's a whole host of factors that go into this, and when you should launch. Some people do still try to get the actual money from the game. Some people, like what's increasingly popular on Kickstarter, is getting the polishing money. Like the game is already mostly done, but
exactly.
they do a Kickstarter.
We came to that realization that we can't really go on Kickstarter until people can play the game and realize what we're saying about the mechanics is doable and will be fun.
Just because that level of trust, you could do it with nothing if you had a lot of stuff under your belt. But as new people, like we need to basically put our money where our mouth is and show that it's working. And so
one of the things we're trying to do to increase that is make this game and launch it and have a game under our belt.
Yeah, have a game. This one is much more palatable. People get how it works.
We can show it to publishers, and they're going to be able to say, I can put this into my numbers and show you what it's going to make.
Right.
Et cetera.
I'm like, can you go into detail on what features you are waiting for in terms of the engine?
With Spatial? Yeah, so they're working on the GDK right now, which is the game development kit.
Something like that.
And
basically, it's a huge. No, first and foremost, it's a huge overhaul of their entire system to work with Unity 2018, which introduces a whole slew of new things and requires us to rehash a lot of the code of the game to fit the new system in. Along with that, we get a whole suite of new tools that make some things in our game that have been severely limiting much, much more open and possible to work with. And so, for instance, we could spend 6 months working on this one aspect of the game. It's specifically how towns interact with going between servers. We could spend a whole bunch of time on making that perfect, but in a few months they're releasing a system that allows us to do that in a whole new ideology that makes it way easier.
Right. And how many people are working on Avalon currently?
3. So we have a modeler that helps out to some degree, but it's all kind of on free time for him. And so it's really, us two are the developers and do the marketing. I do most of the art too. Yeah.
And we have a whole bunch of people at Spatial that help us out all the time, but that not in any degree of time. Just, we get to call them and get help with their SDK.
Yeah.
And are you worried about any sort of funding for Avalon currently,
We
or
were extremely interested in getting publishers within, about 3 months ago or 2 months ago. We went to a bunch of publishers in 2 different rounds, and basically they came back and said, we can't fit Avalon into a free-to-play model, which was one publisher specifically required it be free-to-play. And so they said, this game looks more like a premium, and maybe we're going to do premium games in a 6-month to a year timeline, so come back to us then. And all the other publishers basically said, you guys are already working on it for free, so why don't you just keep working on it and then show us when it's done?
like, that's not surprising.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
big
the industry.
reason for that on the publisher side is that they can't bet on our game being fun and persistent and beating all these issues without seeing it because we have no proof.
Yeah,
This is definitely an industry that gets kind of hung up on certain ways of doing business.
The big thing with the business side of these games is like players really like innovative mechanics, but publishers hate innovative mechanics because if it's like a sub mechanic and it's like a twist on a game that everyone knows how it works, fine.
Literally,
if you're changing
or twisting mechanic is fine, but when you come
Right,
out,
but if it's really innovative, how do we know whether or not people will buy it?
exactly. Or literally buy it, and then how do we know that over the course of 7 months, this quote-unquote persistent world that you guys are building is even going to work?
Yeah, I mean, it's about monetization as well. A lot want not just, you can't do subscription model. It's an online game. So there was a lot of publishers who were like, well, online games, like, I don't know. How does spatial even work? I don't know if we want to do an online game. From there,
most publishers are like, hey, look at Fortnite. I want a Fortnite. Make a game where people buy clothes.
Yeah, from there, the other thing is nobody wants to do subscription, right? And so if you have an online game and it's basically premium, your options are a one-time purchase and just hope that covers all your costs, or free-to-play. No publisher wants to do subscription, and so a big part of it became, how do we make this a free-to-play game? Which, we also didn't super like the way that was going.
Yeah, it started to turn. We had some good ideas for base things, but then the way it was going started to make the game seem a little bit purchased, and it kind of ruined half of the things that we liked about it.
Yeah. So we're just kind of continuing on it as like full indie, basically. And this game is kind of a stepping stone to get traction, community, portfolio, possibly cash flow.
Fun fact: that game development gets easier when you have cash.
Red Dead Redemption 2 took $125 million to make.
Yeah, it's like, and as far as publishers go, it depends on the publisher.
Go to the front of the box.
Oh, it's delayed for us,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had publishers on the program who, they do unconventional stuff like Tiny Build, for example, or the Square Enix Collective, but not every publisher's like that.
Yeah, and we were actually talking to Square Enix Collective for a minute there, but we never. I actually know what happened to that.
No, it was the Collective, so it's not them as a publisher. It's just their Square Enix Collective.
Yeah, we know people at the Collective, and there is a difference between their platform and their actual publishing division.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are unfortunately getting low on time, so I'll turn to my staffers here to see if they have any final questions before we have to wrap up and move on.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, sorry, I've been paying too much attention to shooting chili peppers. The yellow ones look a little bit more like lemons than I think they necessarily need to, but then I don't know what the pepper they're based on looks like.
Habaneros.
They're habaneros.
Those are
Honestly,
habaneros are yellow. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty fun for an alpha. It would be definitely nice to have the control scheme I'm supposed to have, and also have some glitches ironed out. But definitely a game that is fun even at this stage in development. So
good to hear.
Yeah, I got no questions, and I've been having fun though. there is one glitch that I'd like to point out that I seem to run into at times that where I can't seem to shoot my gun at some points.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was because I was like out of ammo or.
Yeah, you run out of ammo.
Yeah.
And you get a different
Yeah, I
gun.
think
Oh, ammo.
the sound effect is just a little turned down too much, so you can't tell what's going on.
Like I usually have sound effects muted when I stream games, just because we don't want to
Yeah.
deal with copyright claims or anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
Also, we're
Yeah.
in an interview right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks, guys.
Right, that's
No problem, no problem. Yeah, the game is Heatwave. It's currently in alpha stage on itch.io. It's coming to Steam in the near future. Be sure to look for it. And Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. Right, welcome to the topic of discussion. So, this is one of those. This happened like what, yesterday?
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're talking about the Epic Games Store this week. Well, this got announced literally yesterday, time of recording. And, well, it's been a topic of conversation in many spheres. And
Yeah, and Epic Games is, what do they do besides Fortnite?
If we're talking about the present, not much. Like, in terms of like developing actual games, but Epic Games has been a force in gaming for a couple of decades now.
Yeah.
It's like, Epic Games, their biggest claim to fame in the now and present, outside of Fortnite, is the Unreal Engine. They are the owners.
Oh, okay.
So that's why this announcement is. It's one of the reasons why this announcement is hitting with a bit more force than your usual store.
And that's why they have the thing where if you publish on their sales on their store, because I remember the Unreal Engine had the thing where you don't have to pay for the license if you give them a royalty thing, and if you now sales through their store won't have that. So
yeah, it's like, well, they've been messing around with their rev share because of Fortnite being such an absolute smash, and Fortnite.
yeah, it's up for the Game Awards, even though it still hasn't been fully released.
I'm like, they just announced a new mode for Fortnite Creative, which isn't the same thing. That's not the same thing as Fortnite Save the World mode, which was the initial version of Fortnite. That's the single player campaign-ish mode-ish. Yeah, it's the mode that nobody cares about. But like seriously, if you actually boot up Save the World mode, you will see how much nobody gives a shit about this. It's still very rough from what I've been told.
Well, it's like I think it's going free to play as well, like next year.
It might. It's like when it comes to the world at large, Fortnite is battle royale mode. It's like that's the thing that gets forgotten a lot. And getting back to the Epic Games Store, so Epic Games is actually at a bit of a crossroads here. And okay, I'm going to say it right now. Epic Games is, doing what Valve does. Because Valve,
this is literally exactly pretty much the same as how Valve did Steam.
Yes. On several occasions, by the way. Valve pushed Steam as far back as Half-Life 2. And they've had other hits since then. They leveraged Steam with Dota 2, with Team Fortress 2, the Portal games, anything that, I'd imagine that they will be doing that with Artifact, the Valve game that just came out not too long ago. Yeah. you know, this is exactly what Epic. You know, they've got this huge mega hit on their hands, and that's all well and good. But how do I put this? You know,
Most of the
Fortnite-
money is not all of the money.
No. It's also there are limits to just having one game of this nature.
Fair enough.
You know, plus this is going to be one of the key differences between a store and what Steam actually is, and that's a platform.
Yeah. I was going to go with repository, but platform works too.
Well, it's because if you just want a repository, there's a fuck ton of those on the PC already.
Mhm.
You know, there is GOG, there is the Humble Bundle, there's Amazon, there's the Twitch store now, which I guess is still Amazon but separate. It's weird. Like, I mean, the Discord store just launched not too long ago,
Yep.
and that landed with a resounding thud. You know, it's like, you know, if you're going to come at the king, you need more than just a fucking marketplace. You
Yeah.
need an economy.
Uh-huh.
You need, well, a lot of what Steam does.
Mhm.
And, you know, there's been a lot of grumbling about Steam this year. Some of it warranted. Just go see our Manga Gamer interviews for that.
They are not
Yeah.
happy with Steam.
No, but they have cause to be unhappy.
Yeah.
A lot of the Steam hatred, like I said, there are things to dislike. Their algorithm focus, like algorithm, is a complicated issue because I see, it's not just a matter of hiring people. Okay, I'm like, Steam is too fucking big for that.
Mhm.
On the other hand, having eyes on the ground helps shit out.
Mhm.
You know. But this isn't about that. Okay, what Steam actually does, it provides development tools. It provides controller support. Hell, Steam has been the biggest push in Linux gaming ever.
Well, and like also an internet back end.
Right. It's like just going like there's a topic in that right there, just the shit that Steam does for developers that nobody else does. And and anyone who thinks Steam has been lazy hasn't been paying attention to them, because they've done VR stuff. Fucking Steam Proton. You can launch Windows games natively in Linux.
Mm-hmm.
I have my issues with Linux users, mainly because they keep thinking the Age of Aquarius is going to happen when it's never gonna fucking happen. Like, no, Linux is not going to ever dethrone Windows. You need to get that out of your fucking minds.
Well, okay, Linux may dethrone Windows only if Windows, only if nobody ever actually uses desktops and everybody only uses smartphones, and then only Linux people will still be using desktops for some reason.
Yeah, it's like, so it's not gonna fucking
The point is that the personal computer will probably die just around the time that Windows does.
Yeah. So a particular focus has been on Steam Valve's rev share model, which is 70-30. And I gotta admit, I don't get it, in the sense that what Valve is doing is literally the industry standard. Like Apple, Google, everyone does this rev share model. And it's also been a bit lost in the news, but Steam has actually changed its rev share model. Granted, it's kind of an asterisk because
Yeah, I think their rev share model is a little bit more generous if you just sell a ton of things.
They're
No.
basically doing it to keep people like Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA on Steam.
So this is a thing we haven't really been talking about, but you know, they're like what they're trying to do is stem off a balkanization of PC gaming. You know, it's like there have been a few high-profile defections. That isn't the same as like Fortnite never being on Steam. You know, this is more people who have released games on Steam going elsewhere. This is Activision Blizzard taking their franchises in-house. This is Microsoft getting focused on the Windows Store, although they still published on Steam as well.
Well, and like with Activision Blizzard taking Call of Duty, which used to always come out on Steam, is now on the Blizzard.net store.
Yeah, it's on Battle.net, but that wasn't as big a deal as people thought it was because Call of Duty hasn't really been a PC thing for a while.
Yeah, but it's still a big AAA title not showing up on Steam.
Yeah, and until, well, it utterly shit the bed, Fallout 76 also went to the Bethesda launcher. Now, it's Bethesda has launched games on the Bethesda launcher before. Fallout Shelter and the Elder Scrolls Online started on the Bethesda launcher and eventually showed up on Steam. It's just Fallout 76 was the biggest game from them, and it's also Rage 2. Future Bethesda games may not be hitting or may not have hit the Steam store. I'm like, with Fallout 76, the equations on Bethesda are so fucked up right now. It's hard to gauge anything.
We were joking that the lawsuits that's coming out of 76 may be the end of Bethesda, but we'll get to that in the post show.
Yeah, I'm like, oh jeez.
We just talked about 76 last week. I guess what we're doing in the post show this week, boys and girls.
Well, they keep digging.
All right, focus.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so if your game makes $10 million, the rev share on Steam is going to be 75, 85, or how 20. Steam share is going to be Valve will take 25, and 50 million it's going to be 20. So 80-20 at the highest end. And yeah, unfortunately for the indie developers, yeah, that's pretty much, it's not a tax break for the 1% or whatever nonsense that's being framed as. Because it's more about the nature of PC gaming and PC storefronts in general.
Yeah, a lot of younger gamers don't realize what it was before Steam got popular.
Yeah, it's like
we had a whole bunch of fractured marketplaces, and it was hard to find things.
It's also it's also even Steam at its most powerful, or whatever, is not a fucking monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't know. People who use that word do not know what a fucking monopoly means.
Your cable company is more of a monopoly than Steam is.
Yeah, it's like some of the biggest games PC has ever seen have never touched Steam.
Minecraft.
Minecraft. Yeah. Fortnite. League of Legends. Okay, League of Legends technically was on Steam for a little bit via like a European publisher, but nobody fucking counts that.
Mm-hmm.
Point of order, it's like anything from Blizzard. Those might be more the exceptions to the rules or whatever, but the point of the matter is you're not forced to use Steam to sell shit on the PC. And Epic Games is actually taking advantage of open platforms. Because another thing that's been lost is, in the conversation, is the Epic Games Store is not just coming to PC. They're not just going to be challenging Valve. I suppose, they are launching a Android version of the Epic Games Store, which is the other open platform. Like, usually it's fucking suicide to, and there are two major stores on Android. There's the Google Play Store, which is the default for all intents and purposes, but there's also the Amazon Store.
And there's also a shit ton of stores in China. Like, good luck in China, my friends. You're gonna need it.
Well,
it's
China, anything online in China has its own labyrinth to work through.
Yeah, I'm like, well, the Epic Games Store is not coming to China right now. Like, the Chinese connection is, I'm not sure exactly, because Tencent owns quite a bit of Epic Games.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that doesn't necessarily mean that that WeGo or Tencent are pulling the strings here. Like, they don't have majority shareholdership. That's important to keep in mind. But getting back to the Epic Games Store, they're launching with an aggressive 8812 rev share model, which is
it's a very good deal for creators if they can get people to buy stuff on that platform, especially if they're using Unreal Engine.
Yeah. It's like there are additional perks that come with using Unreal, having UE4 games on the store. I'm like, like they will cover the 5% engine royalty if you put it on the Steam store. Or no, not the Steam store. Sorry, the Epic Games Store. They need a better name than that.
Yep. Yes,
Okay?
please.
Yeah, the Epic Games Store is fairly generic and forgettable. So, anyway, the point of order is, that rev share is pretty insane on the surface. But the question is, do you actually make traction, or do you just become another store? Because, okay, your games are on the fucking Epic Games Store. And, presumably, especially in the beginning, there's going to be less competition than Steam. But you want to know why people go to the Steam store in spite of all of the fucking complaints? It's because it's got a user base of 100 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you can make it on the front page of Steam, you have almost 100 million eyes looking at you.
Yep.
It's why the Apple Store is fucking crowded as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking crowded, but that's because there are fucking people here. So your rev share model is really good if the people buy the games. If they don't buy, well, it doesn't really matter now, does it?
Yeah.
Nope.
Also, this is more problematic in, it's like I've been seeing developers talk about this in places. So this isn't necessarily good for the consumer, because one of the myriad of ways that Steam managed to become the name in PC gaming was sales. Really aggressive Steam sales.
Yeah, like really aggressive.
Obviously, thankfully they've cooled that down a bit, because that got to a race to the bottom scenario, but that's another topic for another time. The point of order is Epic Games is not going to be as flexible in their offerings of, and it also does come down to how, there's a lot of details we don't know, because Valve gives the freedom to the publishers to set sales. You'd think presumably that with more rev share, that would come, that would allow them to be more flexible on sales. Not necessarily. The sale, honestly, I don't, I've seen conjecture on this, the sales from the sales come from a Valve's portion, but I don't know the credibility on that. That sounds kind of dubious. But it's more, we don't know how flexible Epic Games is going to be in everything, because Valve allows for a lot of freedom. Unfortunately, some of the problems with that keep cropping up. It's like, Epic Games has said they are going to curate this store,
which works fine until your volume gets super huge. But also, it's nice to hear that they are distinguishing themselves by effort, at least in one way.
No, they're not, because every other fucking store on the market fucking curates.
Yeah.
You know,
Steam, as much as we bitch about it, quote unquote, doesn't curate. It has an algorithm that does that based on your
Okay,
usage
technically,
data.
yeah.
No. I hate this because what happens with curation, it leads to games getting thrown out. It leads to gatekeeping. It leads to, you can slam the libertarian origins of Steam's philosophy, but there's there does need to be oversight for shit that doesn't work. Shit that incites hatred. That shit that Valve needs to fucking work on. It also leads to fucking censoring adult gaming.
Well, and there's also just games not getting seen. Like, we have a bunch of great games on this show that, because of the way the Steam algorithm works, will never get the recognition they deserve. Because they're not from a big name.
If the Epic Store manually curates some things, it might be a little better. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm just saying that their curation is not really different from what GOG does, or Humble, or any of the other stores that does curation. I'm like, and if they don't like your game, it's not going there. It's also the whole rev share model. I'm wondering how long that'll last. Because that looks good, but what happens if the Epic Game Store is a smashing success? Let's say it becomes the new Steam, for the sake of supposition. Do you think that that rev share model is going to last? And this might be an odd thing to bring up in the here and now, but one of the biggest problems with every other store out there, save stores that have carved a niche out for themselves, like, good old games, GOG, they were never going to topple Steam, but they managed to provide a niche in the face of Steam. See, also the Humble Bundle. And there are other questions, like, how are Epic Game Keys going to be generated? Will they cost money? Will there be a limit on them? Like,
because if so, then that's a thing for developers who want to, because that is, essentially something that Steam is currently eating, and if they have a much more aggressive rev share system on this, they might not want to afford that.
Yeah. Also, on the notations of rev share, like, there's already a platform that champions the developer. It's called itch.io. Like, now, it's the thing of it is, Epic Games is coming in with a credibility that isn't seen too often when we're talking about a Steam challenger. I'm like, but
EA tried, and we all laugh at them for it.
No, EA did one good thing with Origin, and that was kicking customer service in the ass. Origin had it, Steam really didn't. I think there might have been another thing. I know there was a thing that Origin did that did kick Steam into gear. And, I hear that the Epic Game Store is for competition. I'm like, you got, like, and people who say that gonna have to be more specific than, competition state, because, as far as competing storefronts, they exist.
Yeah, Ubisoft or Uplay.
Yeah, in order to be competition, you have to actually compete.
Yeah, it's like, and here's the thing about a lot of those other launchers, a lot of those other supposed ecosystems. They're fucking anti-competitive. You think, like, Origin was not built to compete with Steam. It was built as EA's own warehouse. It's it's fucking Disney Plus.
Yeah, in order to compete with Steam, you have to be willing to host, like, many things that are not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Origin does some of that, but not a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, EA wanted a place to host their games.
Yes, that and a few of the other ones are mostly like the company wanting to have more control over the
Yeah.
launching and stuff of their own games. Whereas, I mean,
Yeah.
Valve doesn't make all that many games, and there are like a million games on Steam.
And like Microsoft, them bothering with their own store again, it's not to compete with Steam, it's to enlarge their ecosystem. Like it's about that Xbox ecosystem. It's about Game Pass. It's about that shit. This is it's like they still publish games on Steam. It's like, yeah, some of the games they put out stay on the Windows Store, like fucking Age of Empires Definitive Edition.
You're still salty about that, aren't you?
Yes. But like they just released 5 games on the Windows platform, and Sunset on Steam, and Sunset Overdrive hit Steam not too long ago.
Well, there goes one more reason I was looking to get an Xbox.
Yeah. Point of order, and Uplay. I will never touch Uplay, but I will give Ubisoft credit for making that play with Steam. And Steam allows that. Steam allows other platforms on their platform. Like Games for Windows Live, the previous incarnation of Microsoft's store, was available on Steam. It's like there's free-to-plays that have their own launchers. And like Tryon Worlds has that, if I'm recalling correctly. The point of order is Steam's freedom allows for a lot, and I'm not sure if Epic Games is truly going after the king. Well, they've got some elements in place with UE4, but I mean, first of all, good God, they are going to have to improve the store. Like, it looks like fucking ass right now.
Oh God.
Yeah. And yeah, so where I'm at on the Epic Games Store, I need to see more details.
I mean, it's barely a thing yet.
Yeah, it's like, for developers, I get the potentiality, because if it's successful, yeah, they'll be making more money. There's going to be, at least in the short term, more visibility than Steam. But, this shit is not proven by any means. And, Steam is not the doddering old king. Steam keeps itself flexible, because guess what? You have to in this fucking particular business, because PCs are not a closed wall, not a walled garden. To emphasize this, the Epic Games Store, they want to do an iOS version, but they have, Epic has said that's in violation of Apple policies, and they're trying to talk with Apple about that.
Yeah, well, Apple's policies, I believe, are currently under some kind of investigation.
Well, Apple's policies right now are fuck and you.
It's we get to decide who gets to do one of our things and no one else. Didn't they and I think they were one of the main people who were against the whole you have a right to repair your goddamn stuff when it breaks.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that even now. They're trying to kill third-party repairs on the iPhones and the iPads. Like that.
Apple very much like, even more than Microsoft or EA with the Origin thing, they want to have absolute control over everything that they produce.
Yeah, it's like,
and also all of the money.
They are the walled garden originalists, and so if Epic, if we ever get Epic Games on the program, it might happen. Like one day, we've had Stranger, But it's like I do want to tell them that I don't like I don't know what negotiations are gonna try, but I mean they banned the fucking Steam app because it was another marketplace. They don't like that shit. They're not going to allow that shit if they can help it. So you're not.
But like I said, I believe I read something about that their absolute control over what they allow on their system is actually under review legally or something. But yeah.
Maybe, but
we'll see how that goes, because Apple has a very strong lobby since they definitely have fuck off money.
Yeah, it's like this is like trying to do this on the fucking PlayStation 4, or the Xbox One, or the Nintendo Switch. It's not going to fucking happen under normal circumstances.
Yeah, points for ambition at least.
Yeah, it's like Apple is the original control freak, and it's one reason why I've never liked them.
You and me both.
Yeah, it's like, but that's a rant for another day. All right, so closing thoughts on the Epic Games Store.
It's interesting to see where this will go.
Yeah, I really think the only thing that can be said about it at this point is it's something to keep an eye on.
We'll probably be talking about it again because this is more the initial reaction to things. Anyway, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Excuse me. The week ahead. So coming up on Friday, we will be doing another multiplayer session with Override, Mech City Brawl. This time we're going to be showcasing the full game. Like we talked about in the pre-show, what we're going to be doing for this video is, ironically enough, we'll show off some of the single player, we'll show off training mode, and then we'll show off the arenas we did not get to show off in the beta video.
Because remember, the beta had 4 of 12 arenas available.
Right. So, I don't think we need to cover what we already covered, because the game seemed, was pretty close to launch. I don't think they've changed those arenas or anything. But there was a lot that wasn't available. So, we can cover that for Friday's endeavor. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we will have reviews on Dead Dungeon, Rockets for the Nintendo Switch, and Override Mech City Brawl. So until next time, I wish you good gaming.